Today's video is a life-changing video. Make sure you stay with me till the very end. There's a topic called emotional pattern, which I spoke about in one of my podcasts with Raj Shamani. And that podcast gave us more than 25 lakh views. It was appreciated by a lot of people and yet criticized by a lot of people because it's a very controversial topic. It's a very powerful topic and it's absolutely life-changing. The topic is how emotional pattern attracts what you are in your life, attracts what you want in your life. Today, be with me till the very end so you can truly understand what's your emotional pattern and how it is impacting your law of attraction, your frequency. My name is Mitesh Khatri. I and my wife Indu Khatri are law of attraction coaches, and we are also national best-selling authors of this book, The Law of Attraction. Let's begin with understanding what are emotional patterns. First, let's remember and understand that all our emotions are made of energy, and that energy has a specific frequency. Whatever is our emotional energy, whatever is our emotional frequency, is what we will attract in our life. Make sense? I think that I have explained it many times in many parts of my videos earlier. Hopefully, you have seen it. Today, let's understand that all these emotional frequencies are habits, they are patterns. One of the examples I gave in the Raj Shamani podcast, which was loved by a lot of people, is alcohol example. People who love drinking alcohol, people who are addicted to alcohol, they need an excuse to drink alcohol. Someday they will say, today there's a good news, so let's go for a drink. Someday they will say, today there is a bad news, so let's go for a drink. Someday they'll say, yaar, bahut bore ho raha hai, let's go for a drink. Someday they'll say, let's do something exciting, let's go for a drink. Why? Because it's an addiction. People who are addicted to alcohol, they need a reason to drink. Just like that, our emotions are addictions. Positive addictions and negative emotions of positive emotions and negative emotions. Example, if somebody is used to being happy, he or she will find a reason to be happy. But if somebody is used to being sad and has a pattern, has a habit of being sad, they will find a reason to be sad. Believe it or not, people find a reason to be sad even though everything is perfect in their life. This is easier understood when I give you a case study. In fact, I'll try to give you more than 2 case studies of actual interactions that I've had with students. Here's an example. In my advanced law of attraction workshop, lesson number 1 goes deep into emotional patterns. So once over there, I was doing a one-on-one conversation with one of the students, and I do this in all advanced law of attraction workshops. In the lesson number 1, in the group of 200, 300 people who are attending, I ask people who would like to be coached by me personally. Now, there are some people who are lucky. I pick them up and I do their coaching on call in front of everybody. I'll give you one of the best examples like this. There was this one girl who said she was feeling like committing suicide. So I was like, why are you feeling like committing suicide? Tell me, what are the emotions that you're feeling? And she said, I'm feeling helpless. I'm feeling frustrated. And then she started telling me she's feeling helpless because of this and because of that. And she's frustrated because of somebody and some people in her life and all of that. And I said, hold on. All that information is not important. I said, I know you are 100% sure, you're 100% confirmed that you are feeling like suicidal because of your current conditions of life. Am I right? She said, yes. I said, I know that you're 100% sure, you're 100% confirmed that you are feeling helpless and frustrated because of your current conditions of life, right? She said, yes. And I said, no, my dear. You're not feeling suicidal, you're not feeling helpless, you're not feeling frustrated because of your current conditions. You're feeling this because this is your habit. When I said this for the first time to her, she was a little taken aback. She's like, explain. I said, okay. Instead of explaining to you, let me ask you a question. Think about this word called helpless and frustrated. And there is a third emotion I would like you to write down. The emotion is giving up. What is suicide? Suicide is an emotion of feeling like giving up, feeling like quitting. I said, I want you to think about these 3 emotions: helpless, frustrated, and feeling like quitting, feeling like giving up. Are these 3 emotions brand new for you? Have you felt these emotions for the first time today during this condition in your life? By the way, without telling you too many details about this person, because it's confidential, she was part of the workshop. Her situation was she had just gone through a breakup. And because of the breakup, she was feeling suicidal. So I asked her, I said, is this emotion of this feeling like giving up, this feeling helplessness, is this something you felt for the first time only when you broke up with this guy for the first time like this? She said, no. I said, so that means you've experienced helplessness, frustration, and feeling like giving up earlier? She thought like this and she said, actually, I have. I said, if you don't mind, can you check in your emotional memory? You have been used to feeling helpless, frustrated, and feeling like giving up for how many years in your life? When I asked her this question, she almost went into a trance and she realized, she said, you know what, Mitesh? For many years. I said, no, give me a specific number. How many years? Go back in your emotional memory. What is the earliest memory you have of feeling helpless? You know what she told me? School time. And she's a 45-year-old lady today, breaking up in a relationship at the age of 45. But she's been used to feeling helpless from school times. For whatever reason, that had become her emotional habit, her emotional pattern. The analysis of why it had become a pattern is not even important. The part important is she got used to that emotion. And I asked her, I said, in school, what did you get helpless about? She said, because there was a particular subject and I was just not good at it and I couldn't study. No matter what I did, she said that subject was just not relating to me and I was getting frustrated. And I said, what did you do in that subject? She said, finally, I gave up and I said, forget it, fail to fail. I said, interesting. So you felt like giving up on that subject. And the moment I said that, she said, yeah, I felt like giving up in that subject. And I said, not just that moment. From then till now, have there been many instances in your life where you've experienced the same three emotions, feeling helpless, feeling frustrated, and feeling like giving up? She said, yes. I said, I understand in different situations, the intensity of these emotions may have been different. The level of helplessness may have been more or less, depending on conditions, depending on situations, but the feelings were the same. Example, in school, the situation was a particular topic, a particular subject from school. Today it is suicide. The topics are different, the subjects are different. So the intensity of the emotion may be different, but the emotion is the same, isn't it? She said, yes, it is. I said, so can you see for how many years you've been used to these three emotions? And she said, more than 30 years, more than 25 years. I said, wow. So for 25, 30 years now, you've been used to feeling this emotion of helpless, frustration, and feeling like giving up. And I said, have you had many instances in your life where you felt as difficult as this? And now I'm about to ask you something which you may not want to give me the answer, but if you are honest with me, I would like it if you give me the answer now. Will you be honest with me? She said, yes, I'll be honest with you. I said, be very honest with me. This is not the first time you thought about feeling suicidal, have you? She had tears in her eyes and she said, no. I said, so how many times earlier have you thought about suicide? She said, many times. And then I told her something amazing. I said, listen, here is the good news to you. You have also got a very powerful, emotional, positive pattern. When I said that, suddenly she was confused because I was telling her all about our negative patterns and suddenly I'm giving her a good news when I made her realize that she's been thinking about suicide so many times. So she was a little confused. But here is the truth. We have both these type of patterns. We have negative patterns and we have positive patterns. Yes. If you have weaknesses, you have strengths. Yes. If you have disadvantages, you have advantages. So she said, which positive pattern are you talking about? I said, your positive pattern is you think about giving up, but you never give up. You suffer and you bounce back in life, don't you? And she thought about it. She smiled and she had tears in her eyes at that time. But she smiled and she said, yeah, I do. I said, yes, your pattern is you feel like giving up. You go through frustration. You go through a lot of suffering. That's your pattern. But you do bounce back, don't you? I said, let me ask you a question again. Have you actually tried to commit suicide? Like, have you actually tried? She said, no. I said, have you sat and strategized? How will I do it? Phasi lagaungi, kaat lungi. Like, have you ever thought of strategies? She said, no, I've never tried anything. I said, have you thought of strategies? She said, no. I said, see, that's your pattern. You'll feel like giving up, but you don't give up. Your positive pattern is you bounce back. And check in your life. Haven't you always bounced back? Haven't you always come back and succeeded again in your life? She smiled and she said, yes, I have. I said, tell me, is this the first time you're breaking up? She said, no. I said, how many breakups you've had in your life? She said, this is the third one. I said, in every breakup, you went through a period of frustration and helplessness and giving up, didn't you? She said, yes. I said, but after a few months, didn't you bounce back? You thought you will never fall in love again and you never want to go through this emotion of breaking up again, right? He said, yeah, I thought I can never go through it again. I said, but you did get into the second relationship, didn't you? She said, yeah. And I said, in the second relationship, didn't you feel this guy was better than the first guy? She said, yeah. She was totally in love with it the second time. And then she started smiling when I reminded her that. And I said, so after that, when you broke up, didn't you feel like, now I'll never fall in love again? She said, yes. I said, the third time when you fell in love, didn't it feel like this is the guy? She said, yes, it felt like it again. I said, see, you have such a powerful pattern. You may break up, but you find your love again in your life. She said, I may not. I said, don't tell me based on what you're feeling now. Tell me based on your past. She smiled and she said, yeah, I think I will. I said, tell me, what was your gap between first relationship to the second and second to the third? And she said, a little bit gap. I said, never thought of it, right? She said, no, I never thought of it. I said, think about it now. Calculate and tell me, what was the gap? And she said, between the first and the second time, it was about 6 months. And the second and the third time, it was about 8 months. I said, interesting. So your pattern is within a year, you find another relationship. She couldn't believe it. She was like, oh my God, this is true. 3 relationships. And I said, so what are the chances that you may feel like your life is done? You may feel like there's nothing left for you in life. But what are the chances that within a year, you're going to find another guy? And she had smile and she had hope in her eyes. And she was like, yeah, I think I will. Because that's who I am. I said, yes, that's who you are. I said, but now we can change this pattern. We can make this pattern better. Do you really need to suffer for 6 to 8 months to go through another period of suffering and then find somebody? She said, no. I said, because remember, even though you do go through 6 to 8 months and you bounce back in 8 months, what's also there in the pattern? She said, what do you mean? I said, look back. Look at your patterns. Yes, you get a new relationship again, but what happens again? She said, break up. I said, yes. I said, if you don't change this pattern, you will find love in another 6 to 8 months, but you'll break up again. Not because I'm saying that, because your pattern is saying that. So you can keep doing all the affirmations in the world about, I'm happily married, I'm happily married, I'm happily married. And then you'll wonder why law of attraction doesn't work for you and why aren't you getting married? Because that's your emotional pattern. Again, she was in tears and she said, I never thought of it like that. And she said, I used to always wonder why my affirmations for marriage are not coming true. What am I doing wrong? And I said, no, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that that's your pattern. So I asked her a very important question now, which I want to ask you too. And the question I asked her is, do you need to change your relationship first or your patterns first? Think about it, because if you don't change your patterns and you have another relationship in life, what are the chances that the pattern will repeat? She said, pretty high. I said, pretty high or 100%? She said, yeah, based on my past, it looks like it will repeat again. I said, yes, it will. So what do you need to change? Do you need to change the relationship first, or do you need to change your frequency first, your pattern first? She said, yeah, I need to change my pattern. I said, then are you ready right now to change your pattern, to upgrade your emotional pattern, to upgrade your emotional frequency? Because if you keep having this habit of feeling helpless and frustrated and feeling like giving up, you are going to have problems in your next relationship, but you will again feel helpless, you'll again feel frustrated, you'll again feel like giving up, and something will go wrong. Sabotage will happen again, relationship will break up again. And by the way, I made her realize something amazing. I said, please check, are you feeling these 3 feelings only in the area of your relationships, or has it also spread to other areas of life? She thought for a second, and then she said, actually, even in my career, I've been changing jobs every 2 years. I said, interesting. Every 2 years. How many jobs have you changed till now? And remember, I said she's 45. She's the HR manager of a company at that time when I was talking to her. And I said, think about it. How many companies have you changed till now? She looked back and she said, oh my God, quite a few. Because she obviously started her career at the age of 22 or 23. She's 45 now. She said, I've changed so many jobs. I said, look at it from the beginning till now. Whatever jobs you changed, what has been the gap between changing jobs? She said, yeah, it's almost between 2 to 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 years, almost every job. I said, see, that's a pattern. And I said, in every job, what has been the reason for changing the job? Has it been the reason of growing? Like, did you change because you wanted a promotion, you wanted growth? And she said, no. I said, are you someone who changes a job to get a higher salary? Nothing wrong with that, but is that what you've been changing your jobs for? She said, no. I said, tell me, what is your primary reason of leaving jobs? And she said, in almost all jobs, I found bad bosses. Ah, interesting. Almost all jobs. I said, the rest of the jobs where you said almost, what happened over there? She said, in some cases, if the bosses were not bad, the environment and the colleagues were so bad that I just had to leave. And I said, what were the common emotions you felt while leaving the job? Can you make a guess? And she suddenly realized, and she had an eye-opening realization, and she said, oh my God, helpless, frustrated, and feeling like giving up. And I said, sometimes when you failed in your job the third and the fourth or the fifth time, did you sometimes feel suicidal, which you didn't tell anybody? She said, yes. I said, but you didn't attempt, did you? She said, no, no. I said, see, that's your positive pattern. You don't actually give up, but you do feel like giving up. So I want you to understand, did you realize that your emotional frequency pattern, your emotional habit is not just impacting you in one area of life, it's impacting you everywhere. But your positive pattern also doesn't impact you in one area of life. It impacts you everywhere. I said, even in your career, you always bounce back, don't you? Yes, you leave a job because of feeling helpless, frustrated, and feeling like giving up, and bad boss and bad environment. But you always seem to find a better job and move ahead, don't you? She said, yeah, actually, I'm in this job for the last 1 year and I'm very happy here. I said, how long has it been? She said, 1 year. I said, is there a warning coming in now? She said, what? I said, tell me, how many times did you leave your job? Or rather, what was the gap? She said, 2 to 2.5 years. I said, right now, how long done in this company? She said, about a year. I said, do you see signals happening in your current job right now that it may be heading towards feelings of helplessness, frustrated, and feeling like giving up? And when I asked her, she said, slightly. I said, yeah, because it's just 1 year. As per the pattern, another 6 months, something will start happening. And then it'll get worse and worse and worse. And in the end of 2.5 years, what will you do? This moment, she just kept her hands like this. And she realized her whole life has been her attraction based on her frequency, her patterns. So I said, now tell me one thing. Your feeling of helpless, frustration, and feeling like giving up, does it have anything to do with your breakup? And for the first time, she said, no. I said, it has everything to do with whom? And for the first time, she said, me. I said, then tell me, who's 100% responsible for your patterns? She said, I am. I said, then what do you need to do now? The good news is, do you need to change your relationships first? Do you need to change your job first? Or do you need to upgrade your pattern first? She said, I need to upgrade my pattern. I said, great. Are you ready to upgrade your pattern? She said, yes, I am. And I said, okay, write down. What are you feeling? By the way, before I continue in this case study, I hope this case study is teaching you something beautiful about your patterns. And if you are, I would like you to do this exercise with me. On your notepad and pen right now, write down what are some of the current negative emotions that you're feeling, which has become your habits. You feel these emotions on a regular basis for different reasons. And for some reason, this emotion comes back to you. I don't know what it is. Is it anger? Is it hopelessness? Is it frustration? Is it dissatisfaction? Is it feeling empty? Is it feeling lack of love? Is it feeling loneliness? Yes, all of these emotions are patterns. All of these emotions are habits. So write these emotions down, and then let's go towards the second part of this exercise, which I did with this lady to change her pattern. Wouldn't you like to go there? You would, right? So come on, do this first exercise right now, and let's continue from there. But by the way, so far, if you're loving it, do me a favor. Give it a quick thumbs up to this video. Below the YouTube video, you'll see there's a thumbs up sign like this. When you like it, YouTube likes it. When YouTube likes it, more people watch this video and more people get help. Okay, so let's continue now. And by the way, if you have a pattern of appreciating and showing gratitude, you will show that thumbs up sign. And if you don't have a pattern, you'll continue listening, you'll continue receiving, and you may still not use a thumbs up sign. I'm not saying this to blackmail you to get the thumbs up sign. I'm just trying to clarify this is a pattern. So come on, hit that thumbs up sign and let's continue. So I asked this lady, I said, do you want to change this pattern? And she said, of course. I said, when? Next month? Next year? When? She said, no, now. I said, are you 100% sure? Because once I help you change this pattern, it may not come back. So if you want to live with this pattern, continue. But if you want to change it, tell me now. She said, no, I want to change it now. I said, okay. Write down on your notepad these three emotions: helpless, frustration, and feeling like giving up. I said, first step of changing a pattern is recognizing that it's a pattern. You've already done the first step. Congratulations to you. And she smiled. So by the way, congratulations to you too, if you've recognized your patterns by now. I said, second step now is to choose a new pattern which is the exact opposite and positive of the earlier pattern. Simple. It's a very simple step. So I told her to write down, I said, what is the opposite of helpless? And she's like, I don't know. I said, think, what is the opposite of helpless? She's like, hopeful. I said, how is hopeful the opposite of helpless? And here's something amazing I've realized. Whenever I do these one-on-one coachings in my advanced law of attraction program, I've always seen that people, 99% don't know the word of the exact opposite of the negative emotion that they're feeling, because that feeling they've been feeling for so many years. And the opposite feeling of emotional pattern that they want to feel is not even there in their vocabulary. Even though it's a simple word, they just don't remember it. Not in all cases, but in 99% cases I've seen people don't even remember the word. So I helped her remember the opposite of helplessness is helpful. Helpless, helpful. And she was like, wow, helpful. I said, yeah, there are two kinds of people in life: people who are always helpless or people who are always helpful. Not only are they constantly full of help within them, but they're always full of helping others. Who do you want to be? You want to be a helpless person all the time or a helpful person all the time? She said, yeah, I'd love to be helpful for me and to others. I said, great, write it down. Second emotion, frustrated. What is the opposite of frustration? Believe it or not, she didn't get the word. She kept giving you all kind of positive words, but the opposite of frustration. So what is the opposite of frustration? The opposite of frustration is simple. Calm down. When somebody is frustrated, don't we say, hey, relax, yaar, calm down, don't get so frustrated, calm down. Opposite of frustration is calm. So she wrote down calm. I said, third one, feeling like giving up. What is the opposite of feeling like giving up? Feeling like persisting, feeling like continuing to take action. Correct? I remember I made a video on law of attraction case study of Virat Kohli. If you've not seen that video already, you'll find it in the description below as a link. In that case study of law of attraction of Virat Kohli, I specified one of the emotional patterns of Virat Kohli was, in his life, there was a time when his father had expired. And the next day, he went and played a match in Ranji Trophy and he got 90 runs that day. He scored well, he played well. You see, because this is not a man who feels like giving up when something goes wrong. He's a man who takes more action. He feels like taking more action even when something goes wrong. You know why? Here is why. Write this down. Crises and opportunities don't make us feel anything. They only multiply our existing emotional pattern by 10 times. That's right. Our existing emotional patterns are only multiplied 10 times around crisis and opportunities. Example, if I'm feeling like giving up, and that's my pattern, crisis will make me feeling like giving up even more, suicidal thoughts. But if my feeling is helpful, which means if I feel like always helping myself and other people, during crisis, instead of only thinking about myself, suddenly I'll be thinking about who can I help? How can I help myself? How can I help others? Haven't you seen people where, let's say during the 26/11 situation in Mumbai, when there was a terrorist attack on Taj Hotel, you remember that condition? There were people who felt helpless and shocked and didn't do anything in that environment. But I know there were people who gave up their life helping other people. Why? Because their ability to help others was so strong that even during the times of life and death condition, they were not thinking of themselves, they were thinking of somebody else. And they sacrificed their life, but they continued feeling helpful because that's who they are. Makes sense? So she wrote down the opposite of now feeling like giving up, which is what? Feeling like taking action, feeling like persisting in life. And I said, now repeat these emotions five times right now. What is the emotion? What is the opposite of helpless? Helpful. I am helpful. I am helpful. Say it 5 times. Say the opposite of frustration 5 times. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. Say the opposite of I feel like giving up. I feel like taking more action now. 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 And if this becomes your habit, how does it become a habit? Repetition builds habits. Yes, repetition builds habits. If you keep repeating this new emotional pattern, that will become your habit. Now, when there's a crisis, you'll feel exactly this instead of the old emotion again. I worked with this lady for another half an hour and gave her a formula which we taught everybody in advanced law of attraction, which is the lesson number 1 on understanding how to change your emotional pattern completely now, making it a new habit, making it a new pattern. This was only the first step that I did with her. Once I did that whole exercise with her, she was completely transformed. At the end of that exercise, she said, my God, I'm actually feeling like having a new life right now. And from there, do you think her life transformed? Of course it did. Do you think she found another life partner? Believe it or not, this time she didn't take 6 months. It took her only 3 months. Did something change? Yes. Did the suffering period reduce? Yes. Did these 3 months go as suffering? No, there was a new pattern. And when she found a new life partner, what were the chances that she's going to break up again very soon? Why? New pattern, right? This is how patterns can impact you. If you'd love to go in depth of the first lesson of Advanced Law of Attraction, my gift to you is I'm giving you that first lesson right now. Below this video in the description, you'll find a link. Quickly click on it right now, register, and quickly go through the first lesson of Advanced Law of Attraction, where you will get more understanding on what Advanced Law of Attraction is all about. At the end of that video, if you are 100% clear that you want to work on Advanced Law of Attraction and upgrade your patterns, come and join my Advanced Law of Attraction course. I'd love to work with you. Okay? See you soon in my Advanced Law of Attraction course. And hey, if this video truly helped you, right now, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you get a notification the next time I create such helpful videos. Okay? Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to show you some emotional patterns. And if you want to go a little more in depth on this, do watch Raj Shamani podcast where I spoke about it with many, many more examples. Link for that is also in the description. See you soon. Bye-bye.